I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power, and coming up next on WAYO LP Rochester is The Sound of Tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about an adventure story. Ross has a poop story he's going to tell us. It's a little poop anecdote. And then, because we are eternally cheerful, we're going to be talking a little bit about the topic of end-of-life care. So that's exciting. But
right
first,
after the poop part.
right?
Good.
But first.
Okay, Sound of Tomorrow, the musical. First run through. Energy, people. Smiles.
Are you talking to me?
Who else would I be talking to?
It's just, when you said we were doing a musical, I assumed there'd be more people.
Okay, Heather. In the theater, we call it a two-hander.
Ah, yes, I see.
Now, if you could just read and sing the part of Heather Zykowski.
I just wish I'd had a little more prep time. I haven't even really read the script.
So you're still not off book, is what I'm hearing. That's just great.
I learned about this an hour ago.
Yeah, that's because our lead backed out, and then her understudy backed out, so I had no choice.
Wait. You had a lead and an understudy for me? Heather Zykowski?
Yeah, of course. Okay, I see. No. See, okay, yeah. So, yeah, it's not so much that the character is you exactly. It's more of like a composite character based on you, but also including elements of Wendella Mermelstein, Cease and Desist Bear, Taylor Swift, and Santa Claus.
So, who was playing the part originally?
Oh my gosh, we cast Raven Simonier.
You had Raven Simonier?
No, we cast Raven Simonier. We didn't actually have her. Then, as her understudy, we cast Tatiana Maslany, but she got busy with She-Hulk and also never returned my calls. So here we are.
Here we are.
Okay, so let's take it from the top.
Okay, let's see.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. It's the Sound of Tomorrow musical.
Cut.
What?
It's a musical, Heather. You're supposed to sing.
Oh, but I don't
like
really.
A pretty bird.
I am a pretty bird,
You're a
but
pretty bird.
I don't really sight read music, and also there's no music here.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, just to make it easy and save everybody time, I just set everything to the tune of like a really recognizable tune. You know.
Oh, okay, I get it. That's a great idea. Like Turkey in the Straw or Yankee Doodle, something like that.
Yeah, close. So the first bit is to the tune of Battaglia by Heinrich Ignaz Franz von Bieber. And go.
It's the Sound of Tomorrow, the musical. We're here to make your life fruityful. Now journey back with us to 2007 to our first studio, a little slice of heaven.
Okay, cut. What was that?
Don't know.
Battaglia by Heinrich Ignaz Franz von Bieber. More like Luigi Russolo's Grand Concerto Futuristico.
You know what? I quit.
Oh my God, Heather, you can't quit. You just got here.
I figured I'd save us some time this week.
Ugh. Now I'm going to have to play both parts. It's going to be a one-hander. Can I do that on the radio even?
I don't think you can.
I don't think I can. But would anyone know?
Well, it depends on how loud you are.
That's true. I think it'll be fine.
Am I allowed to say we're going to make your life fruityful?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I said you can say it. That's my word, and I say you can say it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co-host.
And I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power. You're listening to The Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO LP Rochester.
It's a show on the radio, and you are listening to it.
You have just stated many facts.
It's true. It's true. Approximately an hour long, say critics.
So, Ross, happy
on
anniversary.
Wednesdays, say the fans. That's all. These are all our stellar reviews. Yes, ma'am. You were saying?
I wanted to wish you a happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Did you know this snuck up on me? I seriously had to
know.
You didn't know. It's our 15th anniversary.
That's absurd.
It really is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was Friday because I have a little calendar reminder that tells me when our anniversary is. And it popped up and I was like, oh, that's cute. And then I went to copy some off of another post because goodness knows I'm not going to write anything original if I can recycle something. And it said our first show dropped in 2007. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I was like, wait, is that 15? I think
That
that's
is
15.
that is very complicated math. I'm very proud of you for figuring that out because I never
Yeah.
would have. That
I
is that's too long.
That's
Don't you
such a
think?
long time.
Don't you think?
15 years.
Don't you think that's a little absurd? A little
I mean,
ridiculous at this point?
yeah, it's over the top.
We were significantly, I mean, you know, on the one hand, we're old enough that 15 years is like, 15 years. What's 15 years? But
Right.
then also it's a long time.
It
We were
yeah,
genuinely significantly younger
we
15 years ago.
absolutely were.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting too because I have a picture from the first time we recorded and there's a picture of Nigel like sitting at one of the laptops. He also was
Wow.
significantly younger.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, look at that very young cat and that very very young us."
Is that when we had those full headsets with like the microphones that came down and they didn't work
Yeah.
very well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And we recorded with our laptops like back to back as though we were playing that battleship game.
Oh my god, yeah. And then we would like try to line up the audio
Yeah.
things or
And
whatever.
then yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. We were certainly trendsetters though. That was
We
like
were.
we were doing stuff that nobody, I mean, there was like one other podcast I think before us.
I think there are two. I think
That-
there's
that-
Jordan Jesse Go and Anything Ghost
yeah.
and
And
then
those are
us.
and they became successful just by, if nothing else, by sheer virtue of,
Yeah.
putting in the
Staying
time.
power.
And
We
we've got the staying
continued to
power, and that's
podcast.
it. Yeah. Whether you're listening or not.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely interesting. I was really surprised when I realized it was a full 15 years.
I
But
I oh yeah.
I was going to say I mean, even better timing because we have our 500th show party coming up in December. It's December
Yes.
15th. That's a Thursday. It's going to be at Photo City Music Hall. Doors 7. Show starts at 8. We'll be announcing the lineup soon. But I didn't even realize when the 500th show is coming up and I was like, I want to have a party. And you said, okay, we can have a party. I didn't realize it was also our 15th anniversary.
I say a lot of things to you that I say to other people, and then they go, "Oh, okay." Because like other people would say, "Oh, we should have a party," and I go, "Oh, we definitely should," and then it would go away, right? Like you
Yeah.
would just sort of, I would just sort of I would keep walking, and they'd keep
Uh-huh.
walking, and no one would ever bring it up again. But not you, Missy, not you, madam,
Nope.
not you, lady pants, not
Nope.
you, my partner in crime, my co-host of rhyme, my my woman of time magazine of the year. I don't know. It's not. It's yes. That is. These are interesting times, and I feel like we're getting it in just in time because I feel like the world is probably not going to last that much longer, right?
Not that much longer.
So
I'm assuming at this point we're just going to keep podcasting until the end, which is nigh.
right, which is like, yeah. I mean, it's like 20 more episodes or something. I think we'll get
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I don't
So
think we're going to get to another 500. I don't see that
right.
happening.
No, absolutely not. So this is a fun thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Heather,
unfortunately, I am one of the. Oh, I was just going to say, I am one of those people where sometimes I get an idea and then I actually make it happen.
yes, and sometimes you get an idea and you just you just keep going whether it happens or not. But I love that about you. So but I have a question for you, Heather.
Do you?
This is going to be a little personal.
Okay.
This is going to be a little I don't know if you'd call it saucy, but
Ooh.
it's going to be a little personal for drive time radio. So, everyone, if you're listening, I'm not saying you need to turn this off. I'm not saying we're going to get,
What if there are kids in the car?
if there are kids in the car, they're going to enjoy this more, I think, than their
Okay,
parents.
they'll really like it.
Yeah. So, Heather,
Yeah,
do you read on the toilet?
of course.
Okay. Okay. And what kind of thing do you read on the toilet?
I think I know where you're going with this because I think since we mine a lot of the same territory, I think that I have seen the article you might be referencing. But
Okay,
you
well,
know,
I need you to pretend that you don't and write or go along with me.
well, there's been an evolution, of course, because you might remember when we were children, not everybody kept books in the bathroom. And if there are no books, sometimes you needed to like read the shampoo bottle,
Right.
right? But I have graduated from reading the shampoo bottle.
And that's when
And
shampoo bottles were more literate.
right.
When there was really it was a very different time. But
Yeah, if
yeah,
you were lucky, there's the Doc Bronner's soap in there because at least then you really had something to read, that whole manifesto on it
sure,
instead of just the ingredients list. But no, like everybody now, I check my phone
right.
to the point that I'm not even embarrassed about it, really. Like, I'll be out somewhere with a friend and I'll go to use the restroom
Mhm.
and then I'll come back and I'll be like, yeah, well, I was in the bathroom. I looked up that thing we were talking about and here's the answer. Because just everybody knows. Like, I don't think I know anybody who doesn't check their phone when they go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm a little weird. So I mean, this conversation is just so we're not getting too far off track because I do have a little I will make a small segue, but we are talking about poop. However, um,
I also
as
check
always,
when I go to pee.
right? Okay, no, that's fair. So
Yeah.
it's funny because I think at urinals it's interesting because
Oh,
I will want to pull out my phone and check my phone.
yeah.
But then it feels like sort of a gross thing to do,
That
even though,
does. That feels different than going into the stall and sitting.
but people do it. And I do it if there's nobody there. And then if somebody comes in, I'll put it in my pocket really fast. Like anybody cares.
Yeah,
That's an interesting,
that is
that's a
interesting.
side conversation, I guess.
Yeah,
But
I hadn't thought about that
yeah,
because, I don't use the urinals. They don't have them in the ladies' rooms.
right. Right. Did you so growing up or like in your adult did you have well actually I think I know the answer to this but I'll ask you
You
anyway.
do.
So so you have had in your life you have had like baskets of books in the bathroom.
Absolutely. And you might remember at my old house, the powder room was basically a library.
Yeah. I don't know if I like that.
I don't know if I like that either. It seems like having it's different to bring a book with you
Right.
than just to have one that lives in the bathroom unless, and you might be getting to this specifically, there are those books made specifically for the bathroom. They're like Uncle John's bathroom reader.
Yeah. So I should back up really quick just to throw out thank you Dan Kois Qua Dan KOIS at slate.com.
Yes.
I'm referencing a piece called We Must Go Back to Our Old Way of Passing Time While Pooping. I
Yes.
yeah, I don't know how I feel because I will take a book into the bathroom or a
Mm-hmm.
magazine or whatever.
Yeah,
And I do
newspaper.
or a newspaper, sure. It's the E through FJ section of the encyclopedia, whatever, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's all good. So, but I find, I think, I don't know if there's science behind this. I feel like books that are just sitting and living in a bathroom, I'm a little skeeved out by, and I feel like they're dirty. I don't
You
know if they're any dirtier than any other book that goes near a bathroom or a book that
same.
I'm reading while I'm on the toilet. Like that's
Same.
also slightly unsanitary, I guess, but
Same. I agree with you completely. I This is another one where I have feelings, not facts. It just
mhm.
does seem like that basket of books in the bathroom. Maybe those should never come out of the bathroom.
Yeah,
Those only live in the bathroom. But the one that you pick up, or like you're reading and then you just keep the book in your hands, you go and you use the bathroom,
right.
and then you come back out. Like that book seems somehow cleaner.
Right.
I don't know what this like germophobia I have going on around it is. I do know I've met one person who will not touch a book that's been in a bathroom.
Really?
Really?
I don't know how you know.
I don't know how you know either unless you've seen it in there.
I mean, I don't know how you know if it has or hasn't been in a bathroom.
Right.
I guess if you buy every book new at the bookstore and then
Mhm.
make sure you never take it into a bed. I mean, I guess you kind of, but I mean, if you get a book from the library, if you buy a book used or whatever, I
Most
feel like
all
you
books from
just
the library have been in someone's bathroom, haven't they?
oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah.
I
No
mean,
question. Yeah, I
but
mean, I
so
think I think people probably take them immediately to the bed. I don't think people make it out of the library sometimes.
I think they also don't make it out of the bookstore, from what I hear.
Well, and I've seen yeah, and I've seen and this is like this seems really tacky to me, but this I would absolutely not do, but I've seen people like take books into the bathroom in the bookstore, and I don't know if they're buying
Yes.
them or not.
Yeah. And anecdotally, I've heard from people who've worked in bookstores, a lot of people like to poop at the bookstore.
Yes, I have noted that
Yeah.
because I like to pee at the bookstore, as I like to pee everywhere. It's my
Yes.
sort of my
You're
whole
you're
scene,
known for that. I
right?
do appreciate you using the restrooms at my house instead of just going in the corner like you sometimes do to mark your territory and let everybody know that Ross was here.
Well, I was warned. So, but yeah, every time, like, I have never gone. I just have to pee a lot. I'm just somebody who has to pee a lot, but not in a medical way. Just in a
You're just
peeing's
well
my.
hydrated is
I
all.
drink a lot of water and I pee a lot. So I, yeah, whenever I go to the bathroom in the bookstore, to pee, there's always somebody pooping in there, and I always think, did you just come here just to poop? I don't know. It seems it's a popular. I mean, people hang out there. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I guess coffee shops are also popular, and some bookstores have coffee shops in them.
That's true, I guess. Well, and coffee makes people poop, and it's a place
Yeah.
to hang out. So maybe it's just a perfect storm.
But, well, and from what I've heard of those restrooms at the bookstore, sometimes it does look like a perfect storm has hit.
Yeah. This
Um,
this article was fascinating because it had a whole, but it had a little bit of. I mean, so I'm getting way off the top of the article, and that's fine, and nobody cares. But so some of the gist of it was like, hey, a bathroom, maybe going to the bathroom should be a place where you sort of lock yourself away from the world rather than be on your phone. But the
yes.
article does give an interesting history, which I didn't know about. Of I get like those, like you said, like the Uncle John's bathroom reader,
Yeah.
and the whole idea of, like reader is Reader's Digest still a thing?
I don't know, but every
Yeah,
once so often, more pre-pandemic, I'd be like waiting for a dentist appointment. I'd be like, "Whoa, a Reader's Digest!"
it's so weird. Yeah, Reader's Digest never interested me. Like there was a time when older people in my family, like we'd get Reader's Digest, and I almost feel like it was just a thing you did. And like everybody
Yes,
had Reader's Digest, but I
everybody had
never,
it.
yeah.
There's the
And
humor and uniform column.
right, right, right.
There, I would read it, not necessarily because I liked it, but because I think we've both said on this show we tend to read a lot at
Right.
times. And, if there was nothing else to do, I'm just hanging out, I'll pick up a Reader's Digest.
And especially, I
I'll,
mean, now as an adult, there is no square foot of my house where I can't reach out my hand and pull something to read. But,
yes,
as a kid, still had
right.
lots of reading material, but you definitely had to be less picky because there was
Yeah.
definitely more limited options.
And somehow we had this huge box of large print Reader's Digests.
Yeah, everybody had large print Reader's Digest too, and I don't know why. Yeah.
And I would read those simply because it was something to read that I hadn't read yet.
Yeah.
Because, like you, I had plenty of books, but I ran through them so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess the late 80s, this I guess Uncle John's bathroom reader was the thing. And it's, in a collection of, the kind of things that mildly, I don't want to say scandalous, but sort of mildly naughty at the time to have like, oh, this is a book for the bathroom.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
not like there weren't protests or anything, but it was a little cheeky to have like a book with about, here's a book for your bathroom with a toilet on the cover. Like it was the kind of thing that people would be like, hee 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 hee.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
you wouldn't
Right.
even think twice, but
No, not at all. But there was more of a, I guess, even more of a taboo.
right, right. And it's interesting. So it's the kind of stuff, and those books are. I don't know. I don't think I've ever
I don't think
had
I've read
one.
an Uncle John's bathroom
Yeah, but
reader.
it's like weird trivia. It's facts. It's
Yeah,
jokes. It's just an assortment of like. I think it's the kind of thing where you can just open to any page
sure.
and flip through it, and there's some fun, interesting stuff maybe.
Yeah.
So But
Try to remember to get you one for your birthday next year.
I'm not keeping it in the bathroom, so it's going to be a waste of time.
You can
Um,
keep it, you can install outside your bathroom one of those things like they have at the doctor's office that holds the files, and
oh,
you
that's
can
a good
keep the
idea.
bathroom reader in there. And then when you're going in, you can grab it, go in, and then come back out and put it in its holder.
I there was a long time in my life too where even though I would read on the toilet, I was I didn't want well, there was a time in my life, there was a long period of time in my life where I didn't really want people to know that I pooped. So there was an extra element here of I wouldn't even want to like take a book into the bathroom because that would like signal to people that I was pooping.
Yeah.
So having a book in the bathroom or having like the outside sort of it helps with the sanitation a little bit because it's not a book that's sitting in the bath. Plus, like you're taking a shower in there, so they're getting
Mm-hmm.
steamy. Like it's just it's I feel like it's not good for books, but
Yeah.
just so doing it outside takes care of some of that. But then you're still signaling to people that there's pooping that goes on in this house, which I still have a slightly weird thing about, even though I'm on the radio
Wow.
talking about what I do when I poop. So
I
now
know.
you see,
Well,
I've gotten better. This is a
you've
big
gotten better. Yeah. It's interesting though, because in Slate today, there was a related article that was here's how we should be doing bathrooms. There should be pee rooms, there should be poop rooms.
hmm,
And it shouldn't be anything about anybody's gender. It doesn't really matter. It just matters what your intention is.
okay.
And I was thinking about that because I am not a person who, if there are folks at my house and I have to go and poop for whatever reason,
Mhm.
I don't announce this to people.
Right.
I might say like,
We
I'll be
appreciate
right
it.
back. But I feel like if there's a pee room and a poo room, that's basically standing there yelling about what you're gonna do.
Yeah, I don't I guess I want to know more about that concept cuz I'm sort of more of a like let's just have if we're talking about public bathrooms, let's just have
It
like
was
individual stalls kind of thing. And then
Yeah, what I want is small individual bathrooms.
yeah, ideally, I mean I
Like,
understand that's not always practical to have like several tiny little rooms,
right,
but
but I do like that. They were talking about your typical, for example, office bathroom.
mhm,
And in the article, they were talking about how right now there's the men's and the women's,
yeah.
and how they would arrange it differently so that the women's room with the stalls becomes the poop room. And the men's room is just the pee room, and you leave the urinals and some stalls so that then everybody can use it for whatever kind of peeing they want to do.
Huh. That sounds like a solution that pleases no one.
I think, yeah,
I don't really understand who is asking for that
I don't
change.
know either. And then I guess if you have to do both, you just go to the poop room, I suppose.
Yeah, I would think. Like, I mean, I guess the poop would be the limiting factor, right?
Yeah.
I
But
don't know how many
I
times we
had a
can say
lot.
poop before we get kicked off the air. By the way, so we might have
That's
to.
true.
we might have to. we might have to keep the timer, the poop clock going.
I don't know. I think we're allowed to say it.
I think so.
Um but yeah, I read that article and I was like, I don't think this is the ideal solution.
No,
I
that
don't
doesn't
think I
sound
would enjoy this situation whatsoever. And that's
and
why for me ideally it would just be a small room with a commode and a sink.
right.
And then some of them with changing tables.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I think that's the ideal scenario.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know. I mean, for me personally, I understand the concerns. I mean, for me personally, like if you can't do little tiny rooms, then just having a bunch of individual stalls and maybe getting rid of urinals entirely. I don't know. I mean, urinals are very efficient, so
Yeah.
there's a beauty to that, but I don't know. The whole bathrooms have gotten complicated, so I don't know what the solution is. It's going to make everybody happy. I don't really care myself. Like it's
I
fine.
know.
I'm going to pee. I'm probably not pooping out in the world anyway, so I'm going to be in and out real quick. You don't have to worry about me.
Yep. I'm probably
So,
not unless there's some kind of terrible need,
right, right.
like that
so,
time I had the flu.
so how do you feel? Let's I guess let's move on with this. Let's take this one step further. So how do you feel about the idea that we're spending too much time on our screens and the bathroom is maybe a place of peace and respite and poo poo that and maybe a book is a better thing to have than a phone where you're just doing
I
more of the same.
I don't think it makes a difference.
Eh,
I mean, I guess if one is a person whose phone already stresses them out,
yeah.
that could be a really great reason. Like they could make that rule for themselves
Yeah.
and take a break from their phone. I don't believe my phone really stresses me.
Yeah.
Maybe it does, and I don't know it.
I mean, some of the reasons given in the article, a book, a book that you drop on the floor or drop in the toilet is not going to set you back several $100s, or or more. So that's a thing. And then it, I don't know if there's data behind this, but it makes sense to me, the idea that your phone could potentially keep you in there longer,
Yeah.
because it's sort of limitless, as opposed to like, oh, I looked up a couple jokes in the bathroom reader book or whatever, or i
Mm-hmm.
read i read part of an article. And I think this is a you know sitting on the toilet too long has can lead to a host of problems over time. And that's, I don't know if we need to go down that medical rabbit hole, but it's the kind of thing that is, it, it's generally best for all sorts of reasons that you not spend more than 10-15 minutes sitting on the toilet. I think that's sort of the maximum recommendation. So
But I've also known people to stay in the bathroom with a book for way too long.
true, true.
Like I've definitely been in situations where I've been in a hotel with someone who's gone to go read in the bathroom,
Yeah,
and there's only one bathroom, and that can be a little like if they didn't have their book, they'd be out by now,
true.
and
I
then
mean,
I could go in.
and maybe I guess maybe a book's not great either. Because yeah, you can definitely, yeah, you don't want to get, like, oh, I was up half the night on the toilet reading I just could not put it down. That's not great. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't feel strongly about this. I guess if I were to stake a claim to this, I would say I think in general we probably spend too much time on our phones, and it's
Yes.
probably
Yeah, we do.
best if we spend a little less time on our phones. So maybe the bathroom is the place to do that. I don't know, but ultimately, I don't know if it matters. I mean, sometimes I do Wordle in there, but then that's great because sometimes it's a long Wordle and you're like, I'm stuck.
I
Sometimes
know
I've
I
had to be
can't
like,
figure it
okay, I
out.
need to leave now because this is like ridiculous, as opposed to like, oh, that was a really quick. So maybe we also probably shouldn't be timing our bathroom time by like,
Wordles and Duolingo lessons.
right, right, right.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I think the only thing I would protest against would be you can't read anything in the bathroom anymore, not even the shampoo bottle.
Yeah,
You have to just sit there and contemplate your life.
yeah. Although I have known people, and bless their hearts, I've known people who are like going to poop, and they go and they poop and they're done and it's fine. I mean, it's like me going to pee and they're out, and that's just how they do it. Which is probably, you know, it says you're probably getting good fiber and all that, and you're
Yeah.
regular and good for you. And um, it's also, you're not risking hemorrhoids or any of the other things you can risk from sitting on the
Yeah.
toilet all day. So, good for them.
And you're not
So
reading and returning all your messages and scrolling through Instagram.
right, right, right. You're not posting thirst thirst traps, toilet thirst traps. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say it's all interesting, but it's not really. It's just about poop. But I don't know.
I mean, that's
I've
interesting
enjoyed our
though.
time together.
Yes, indeed.
I've enjoyed our time today. But it's not
Um,
over yet, Heather.
it's not over yet because I guess to celebrate our 15th anniversary, you and I had a little adventure along with your wonderful, handsome husband.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we went to see the Moonage Daydream,
Yes, we did.
and this is
And
Heather going to the movies. Everybody,
I
this
know
is a once in a meh
this is the
situation.
second movie I've been to this year, believe it or not.
But two in a year is probably on the high side, right?
Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
2 in a year is on the high side.
Okay.
And it was, I mean, we had talked about Moonage Daydream last week because I found an article in Slate that said it's no good. The title was "The David Bowie Documentary Makes a Mess of a Velvet Gold Mine." And we spoke about that because I was saying I was bummed, I'd wanted to see it. Then I thought it wasn't coming to town, but you very helpfully texted me at the end of last week saying like, "Hey, I saw that it's playing." Um
Yeah, Mike Mike fought with me over it, and I was like, "No, it's right here. It says there are tickets." I don't know why this was a whole. Everyone was confused about Moonage Daydream. So everybody, if you're in the Rochester area and you're looking to see Moonage Daydream, it is available at the theaters. Because Mike was arguing with me, and I was like, "No, I'm right here. I'm on the site. I can get tickets." He's like, "Well, it's one day only. It's Thursday." I'm like, "No, I'm looking. Our choices are we have multiple times on Saturday or Sunday." He's like, "It's one day only. It happened on Thursday." I'm like, I thought you said it wasn't here. I don't know. So I don't know what about this movie made people lose their minds, but
it was hard to find because I was trying to pre-order tickets and I was getting it was weird too because again I was probably in the bathroom on my phone. It was pulling up stuff like, "Do you want to go see it in Tennessee?" And I'm like, "No, I want to see it in Rochester." And the
mm,
internet was like, "Good, you can go to Syracuse." I'm like, "What?" And then even on my desktop computer, I thought, maybe this will be easier if I just go to the site. I could not find it on the Tinseltown website.
huh.
So you finding it was fantastic.
All right.
Um,
Glad I could help.
Ow, I just pulled my headphones cord really
Oh, sweetie.
hard. That's upsetting. Um, but so last week I said how I was so disappointed because I'd seen so many articles and reviews saying this movie isn't any good. It's a terrible movie. And in my mind, I was going, how terrible can any movie be if it's lots of like footage of David Bowie? Like,
Yeah.
could that really be a terrible movie? And I'm here to say no, it was really good. It was really, really good.
Yeah. And like, it's funny that because I still haven't read the reviews you read, but they, the reviews overall also, lest anybody think that we're just, we're just people with bad taste. The reviews overall are really good. It was just a couple of reviews that I don't quite understand that seem to think it was terrible, which I
Yeah.
don't understand the basis of.
And well, I have a lot of questions, I guess, of these reviewers because there's not going to be a way to have a documentary that covers David Bowie's entire 50-year career, 50 plus year, um, in 2 hours. He did
Nor
too
would you want
much.
that.
I wouldn't, it would be the briefest thing in the world.
Yeah.
It wouldn't focus on anything. So, what I realized is the way Moonage Daydream was done is one way we can do a Bowie movie. And it was a good way to do a Bowie movie. There are like 40 more Bowie movies we need to actually like get his career, get the talking heads of his friends going like, "Oh, I remember, David liked to eat shepherd's pie and he'd eat the potato crust first." Like
Yeah.
I do want to know all that. I'm interested enough in Bowie that I do want to know if he liked the mashed potato part of the shepherd's pie best. But this movie was more, I would say, kind of more psychedelic.
Yeah.
It was dreamier, as we discussed after the movie. It was very nonlinear,
Yeah.
which threw me at times and didn't throw me at times. Something that the reviewer, Carl Wilson, seemed to. There were some holes in the review too. Like it seemed like Carl Wilson had never seen Ziggy Stardust the motion picture
Okay.
because he did mention how nice it was to see so many rarely seen Bowie clips.
Hmm.
And I was like, there are like 2 clips in that movie that I hadn't seen before.
Well, you are a special case, but
I am a special case, but then Carl Wilson is also like, and they played the wild-eyed boy from Free Cloud, which I'd never heard before. I'm like, all right, all right, all right. What kind? You're talking like some kind of Bowie documentary expert, and you've never heard the wild-eyed boy from Free Cloud. Like,
yeah. Yeah, well that's interesting too because I think you can either review it as something like this you can either review as a Bowie expert or you can review as a novice, but you shouldn't pretend to be one or the other if you're not.
And to me, this reviewer seemed to come in going like, listen, everybody, huge Bowie fan here. I didn't like this movie about Bowie. But
Yeah.
in reading it, I was like, I'm questioning your Bowie cred if you've never heard The Wild Eyed Boy from Free Cloud and you're acting like some kind of Bowie authority. Because even I'm not some kind of Bowie authority. I'm just a super fan. I do think that Moonage Daydream, if a person had heard the name David Bowie,
Hmm.
or maybe I've met one person in Rochester who hadn't, like, didn't know the name David Bowie.
That's
And
a
it was
wild.
someone like just a little bit younger than I am. And like, to not even know his name is wild.
Yeah.
But so if you're a person whose friend was like, you've never heard of David Bowie, I'm taking you to Moonage Daydream. I don't think this documentary is going to give you a lot of guidance into like who Bowie was.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I think it certainly requires a. I mean, there is a. Yeah, it's nonlinear. It's a lot of so I think you have to have a certain kind of tolerance for a certain kind of. It is like you said. It's nonlinear. It's sort of. It's sort of. I think a lot of documentaries struggle with, do we want to be chronological or do we want to be thematic?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually liked the way that this movie sort of was like, we're going to do both. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't like it, then fine. But it was a little chronological, but it was also drawing connections. If for certain sort of thematic elements, it drew connections. But I mean, for me, not being definitely not just being somebody who likes David Bowie's music, but definitely is not a David Bowie expert. I felt very connected to, again, at least the documentary writer, editor, directors, because I think one person did an awful lot of this. um,
Mm-hmm.
at least that person's idea of what David Bowie thought and how his feelings about his career and about his music and the way he makes the way he wants to make music and the kind of artist he wants to be and how he felt about that and how that evolved over his career. I felt very connected to that in a way that had in not even the tiniest way had I been going in. I just don't have that kind of deep knowledge of him as a person.
Yeah, and
So
that's one thing from this review that they did kind of get right because Bowie famously backtracked all the time, corrected himself,
mhm.
turned it into like, nope, that was not what I meant at all. I know I said that, but that's not what's happening anymore. So, but again, like how long a movie are we going to have to track every single time Bowie went and redid an idea? Like,
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes when people, I mean, the kind of criticisms that the person seems to be making, a lot of times people are asking for, especially with documentaries, a lot of times I find people are asking for something to be more boring.
yes, because I want to see the boring ones too.
Right.
But this wasn't boring. This was very visually exciting. And the music was super interesting because they pulled a lot of songs apart and layered different songs together.
Right. And my understanding was even for like Ziggy Stardust and the things from what I understand, those were all pulled and re-edited, not re-edited, but I forget
Like
the word.
remastered?
When you go back to the source material and
Yeah.
not master, but not edit, like not they
Like
were edited to make them
remix?
different, but yeah, like mixed from scratch basically to make a new
Mm-hmm.
sound mix. Not
Yeah.
to change them except where they were overlaid, but to, basically to pull everything from scratch, even if they were things that,
Mm-hmm.
clips and things that you had heard before. I guess they went back to the sound with
Yeah.
those and created something fresh.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I did notice that, which was pretty neat. The
Mm.
only I think the only real complaint I guess I have is the way they used a lot of scenes from The Man Who Fell to Earth as though that was just Bowie like living his life,
Mm,
and you wouldn't have really known.
yeah.
Because, like the Elephant Man, where they did that, they brought up, he's the only pop star to ever appear in a Broadway show. And then they did the stuff from the Elephant Man.
Yeah.
And I feel like
I
somehow it was pretty clear from Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence
I
that
don't
that
know. I
was a
mean,
movie.
I guess I didn't have the sense that anything in the movie was about his real life or his home life. You know what I mean? I mean, I know there were certainly scenes that were from different, but I don't know. I never felt like there was anything that was we were intended to take as like, here's Bowie just hanging out at home and what it would be like. I mean, I felt like they were all sort of, um, I feel like everything we saw was, you know, here is a person who's always got a little bit of a persona. So even if it's video of him walking down the street, you felt like that was sort of at least slightly staged and slightly by
Yeah.
design. I mean, not, you know.
I feel like all of the walking around in Asia, that was some kind of performance art.
Mhm.
I think the only things I can think of where he was kind of just hanging out would have been like the backstage shots,
Right.
like while he was doing his makeup and stuff.
Right. But
And I
even
always
then it
liked
wasn't
those in
like,
Ziggy Stardust, the motion picture.
yeah. But even then it
He's
wasn't
still,
like, here's Bowie at home just being David Bowie.
yeah, just being David Robert Jones,
Mhm.
relaxing in an armchair.
I think it was, I mean, I sort of liked the way it approached somebody who I think he's one of those people who's kind of unknowable.
Yes.
So I think any documentary that would try to put a pin down into like, no, this is who he really was would be false. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, would you agree? I mean, you know a lot
And
more
they
about it.
do
You know
bring
more a lot
that
more than
up
I do.
as well in this review. And that's one of their true points. Like, you can't really pin down who this actual human being was
Mm,
because he had so many different personas. I would say, like, probably Amon really knew actual David Jones.
right.
I would think probably some friends did too. Probably Tony Visconti.
Yeah.
But for the fans to have really
Well, and I think
any
there are
notion, which is fine. Like, he, of course, I feel like he's a best friend or even a parent figure to me.
yeah.
Like, that's a, that's like my projection.
I think there are people who just aren't easy to get to know, like even if you're their friend, and you might have an insight. You know, I think about like the Mr. Rogers movie where it was sort of and people didn't love, which I really liked, but people didn't like that it was done from like a here's the perspective of this person who knew Mr. Rogers. You know,
Oh,
and it was sort of about that other person's life and his interaction, meeting with Mr. Rogers.
did we both see that? Was that like Mr. Rogers and Me or something?
It was had Tom Hanks. I forget what it was called. It was A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Oh, then I saw a different one.
You might have seen a documentary.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. Was this a
Um,
biopic? Of
yeah,
course, it was a biopic because Tom Hanks was in it.
but I think there was a case to be made, and I think a lot of people, even who were good friends with Mister Rogers, were like, he was not someone who was easy to like. You didn't always know what was going on. You know, it would be hard to make a 2 hour movie from Mister Rogers' point of view because you don't know even
Mm-hmm.
if you were close to him, you didn't always know what was going on in his head. And people have said that about like Ronald Reagan. You know, even people who were very close to him didn't always feel like they knew what was going on in his head. And, so I think there are some people that are just, even if I bet there are close friends of David Bowie who probably didn't always feel like they knew what was going, didn't always know what was going on with David Bowie's head. And I feel like Iman is another person who's sort of a singular type of person. Like, I don't know,
Yes.
if Iman wanted to sit down and tell us all about David Bowie, I don't know how easily I'd be able to connect with Iman just being, her being another person who's kind of a singular artist and a really
Yeah.
interesting thinker and some like, so is there anybody who could, who knew David Bowie well enough and also could translate?
Right. You know what I really, really liked?
Hmm.
That I'd never really noted it so clearly about Bowie. seeing him on the screen, that man wore eyeliner like all the time.
Yeah.
And it looked so good. Like, of course, I knew about all the Ziggy makeup and everything,
Hmm.
but then just seeing, like the serious Moonlight tour, I don't think I'd ever noticed how much eyeliner he had. And now I really think that everybody should just wear a little light eyeliner and some mascara.
Yeah.
It's just so
Well,
pretty.
and interest. I mean, what I thought about David Bowie was seeing him on the big screen, and this is maybe a hair insulting, and I don't mean it to be, but I feel like he got hotter as he got older.
Mm,
Because I was looking at it on the big screen as a younger person, I was like, oh, it's really cool with all the makeup and stuff. But I feel like as he got older and his face settled into the David Bowie look that I picture as the David Bowie. Because when I think of younger David Bowie, I think of all the makeup, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then looking at the face, I was like, oh, that's sort of a normal face. It's like an okay face. Seeing it on the big screen, but then seeing him older without the makeup, where you start, I mean, that's what I picture. And I think a lot of people, when they picture David Bowie, they either picture
Yeah,
like Ziggy Stardust with all the makeup, or
right.
if they're just picturing his face, though, they're picturing slightly older Bowie, at least from the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like he got more attractive as he got older.
So what I wonder about that is that because you and I are older now,
Oh, that's possible. That's entirely
because
possible. Yeah.
I know, like, when I was maybe a 20-year-old woman, I might look at someone who is 55 and be like, even if it was a really good looking person, I'd be like, very old. I guess still good looking, but that person's very old. But now I look at someone who's 55 and good looking, I'm like, hot.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's very possible. I should thank you for calling me on that. I think that's probably, I'm not saying that's
I
100% it, but I
I'm
think
not
there's
sure
definitely something there.
either.
Cuz I
But
definitely I mean, cuz I will go back to like shows and movies that I saw when I was a kid
yes.
that I know my reaction was like, "Oh, old." And now I'm
Uh-huh.
like,
Uh-huh.
hot."
Yes, I remember
So,
this. This was a couple decades ago, but a friend of mine said, "Oh no, I know I'm getting old because I don't have a crush on the main characters in the show. I have a crush on the
yep.
parents." And I was like, "Yep, that's our demographic now."
Yep.
It's creepy to look at a 21-year-old and be like, "Ooh,
Yeah. I'll still do that.
55-year-old. Hey."
I'll still do that occasionally,
Well,
but
that's
yeah.
all right. You're married, you're allowed.
Thank you. So, no, I
But
really yeah.
yeah, I wonder about that with us. But I do, 'cause of course, I agree.
Yeah.
I'll be like, Bowie at almost 70, incredibly attractive.
Yeah, I feel like he got more distinctive looking. And
Yeah.
not sometimes that sound I mean, that sounds like, I guess, if like oh,
Right.
was
That
he
could go
attractive? He
either
was very
way.
distinctive. It's like, wait, what does that mean? But I feel like he got more of that Bowie look that I didn't see, like, looking on the big screen, I didn't see that because again, when I think of Bowie's face, I can't picture it. I can't picture his unmade up face as a young person. I just picture him with makeup, and I'm sure there are pictures of him without makeup, but I cannot see them. Um, whereas, so when I think of Bowie, I think of 80s, 90s, even
Yeah.
2000s Bowie, where he looked like, what I think of as David Bowie in the movies or whatever. And I don't know. It's just I feel like he did not have that face until later. But it's okay
It,
because he had the makeup early on and it was fine.
yeah,
So
it evolved. And then someone said, this was a little while ago, but they noted how somewhere around age 35, his voice just dropped an octave,
mm-hmm.
which was also, I mean, it sounded great an octave higher or an octave lower. Um, are you going to start wearing eyeliner like David Bowie?
I used to wear eyeliner.
Yeah, I think
Eyeliner. Eyeliner.
I mean,
It's
I
called
really
what
like,
it's called.
I don't want to tell people that they, like, you need to wear makeup. I just feel like it's such a pretty enhancement.
I think
I think you could
people
rock it if you wanted to.
I will say thank you for that. I think I do look good in eyeliner, and I have not worn eyeliner in some time, but I am entering um my sexy thirst trap era.
I know
So
that's why I'm thinking put a little, just a little
yeah.
liner on?
Of course, right now, as I'm looking at myself in the camera,
You look great.
I've got a sweater and a button down, a green, like a slightly faded, weird green sweater thing, and then like a hat. So I'm my thirst trap phase has turned into my hot raw summer has turned into freezing raw winter. But
Oh, but this will be really cute because then your thirst traps turn to like you're wearing a little hat and you've got a little blanket and a cup of tea
that's
and you've
true.
got like a saucy little look on your face and you've got your eyeliner going.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm hoping someone who the director of Moonage Daydream actually retweeted my tweet about the movie. I'm
Really?
hoping that he knows someone in because I feel like this segue for
Wow.
me into cold Ross winter. Um this is I'm back into trying to get into some Christmas movies. So I feel like I don't know if
Yes.
I don't know that Brett Morgan knows anybody in Hallmark or Lifetime Christmas movies, but I'm already called. I'm in Rochester. I am willing. Look, I am willing to travel
That's
to
right.
Vancouver or Toronto to be the dad in your Christmas movie. So just
Right. Yes.
anybody call me. Brett
This
Morgan,
is
whoever.
it's gay Christmas dad winter for you.
Right, gay Christmas dad. That's
I loved it when you were doing those. What was that on Instagram that you were doing the reels where you were like the supportive gay dad?
I think so. It did not get me a job. Strangely enough,
You were really good at it though. Those were really
not
good.
actually bothering to audition and instead just putting things on my Instagram, which has 30 followers or something. Strangely enough, did not get me noticed, but
Wow, that's really cool that the director retweeted your tweet.
yeah, yeah, it was cool, and I didn't tag him or anything, so he just spotted
He
it
must
talking
just
about
be
the movie.
looking for like opinions on Moonage
Oh,
Daydream,
I
which
would be, wouldn't you be?
I've heard if you are someone who's famous enough to put out a big documentary about David Bowie, you
Hmm.
just don't ever look in the comments. Just don't.
Yeah,
Just. Unless, you know what, maybe it was an assistant.
maybe. But I mean, the reviews of this have been good.
They
I mean,
have.
again,
It's just the few weird ones that we were discussing because I definitely want to rescind what I said last week about like, I guess it's not any good. That's
right.
disappointing.
Well, and it's also, I mean, there are different ways to like I did movie reviews for a lot of years, and my thing was, oh, I'm always a little suspicious when somebody's like, "This movie sucks," because my thing was always like, I will lay out the things about this opinion about this movie that people might or might not like, and then I'll sort of give you my opinion. But like, I always felt like my opinion is not quite as important as my sort of laying out the things that I think are. I mean, my idea was always sort of like to give people the information they needed to decide for themselves and then be like, oh, also, I didn't like the movie, or I did like the movie, that kind of thing. So I'm always a little suspicious when someone's just like, this movie stinks, because that's, I don't know. I don't feel like that. I mean, unless I felt like a movie was really racist or misogynist or something, and then
Yes.
I'd let it have it. But it was, especially for something like Moonage Daydream, which is, I think, even if you think it failed, I think it's a, I think objectively, I mean, I don't think there's any way to look at it as anything less than a really interesting way to approach the subject.
Hmm.
So to just be like, it stinks is,
Well,
that I don't understand.
yeah, it is weird because there is just a lot of Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
I guess another valid thing that was kind of brought up was none of the people in any of the bands were acknowledged at all
Hmm.
until the very end, which was kind of interesting. But then what are they going to do in kind of the cinematic way it was put together? Like, are they going to have some hover text over Mick Ronson? It says Mick
Right.
Ronson, and just like have an arrow go toward him?
Right.
Like,
That's not what it's about.
I
So I
feel
don't,
like that movie wasn't okay. So the Spiders from Mars, here's who was in it, here's who sat in, here's who did the lighting, here's who did the recording. The famous movie was filmed by so and so. That's a different documentary,
right.
or that's a
Right.
book that you read.
Right. Absolutely. And I understand what you mean. I mean, there's stuff where I can't think of any examples, but there's definitely stuff where there is the very artistically done, very emotional documentary version that is very interesting and thoughtful and blah blah blah. And then also I want the documentary where it just like gives me the facts and like lays
Hmm.
everything out so I can like get it straight. Just because again, yeah, a certain level of nerdery, you want both.
Right. But
But
to
if you
put
had to
them
pick
both in
one,
the same movie, like
yeah. Yeah,
it,
well
it
that's
wouldn't make any sense. Like
well
to go
that's
from this dreamscape into like the spiders from Mars were Woody Woodsmansy. Like what?
right. And it wasn't about and I mean yes, the members of the band, all the people who, yeah, whoever did Bowie's was doing Bowie's makeup. I mean, there were a lot of people behind David Bowie.
Right, and like his longtime lifetime assistant and stuff.
Right. But to take time out of the movie to do that is not, yeah, was not going to work in this movie.
The
So it's a weird thing to ask for.
yeah, it definitely. When I read that, I was like, oh, I mean, okay, but how would they do that? And if you're a Bowie fan, don't you know that already?
Right.
And you
And
know
it,
that that's Mick Ronson. And if you're not a Bowie fan, hopefully the movie hooks you enough that then you'll go and like look things up on Wikipedia.
that's it. I don't want to say you don't care, but it's not about that. And it's not,
Yeah, like
I'm not, you're not going to draw people in by doing a list of all the people in the band.
right. And this also isn't like the only thing about Bowie that's out there in the world.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a hugely valid and valuable thing. As much
Well,
as I did have that one complaint about the man who fell to earth.
we made a lot of show out of Poop and David Bowie. So I want to thank you,
We
everybody.
sure did. We didn't even get to end of life planning. So look forward to that next week, everybody.
your
Get your
takeaways,
living wills together. Sign your healthcare proxies.
your takeaways are Poop and David Bowie. We'll be back next week with How to End Your Life. Not How to End Your Life. Got
How to
that.
plan for the end of your life.
Plan for
It's
the end of
coming
your life.
soon.
All right. Shoot. Oh, where's my thing? Where? I lost it. There it is. Okay. From the top.
And then in 2014, we need to come clean. We made a big mess with Wendella Mermelstein.
You are really starting to get this. I do have some notes. I just need a little less John Dowland's My Lord Chamberlain, His Galliard, and a little more Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, Helicopters Quartet.
I've got your helicopter quartet right here.
Put that away.
Sorry.
Have that out on the radio.
It's
Making everyone
Oleander.
uncomfortable.